Welcome to the Super You Show. I'm your host, Erik Qualman. A lot of you know me as Equalman. This is the show where we give you 7 super tips from the world's top performers. That's right, this show is all about unlocking and unleashing your inner superpower. And we get tips, tricks, and life hacks from the world's top performers. Speaking of which, today's guest is amazing, Ellen DeGeneres. I love Ellen because in my books I preach pioneers get pushback. You will see in her tips that what she did was not the easy path. Pioneers get pushback, and that's what this show is all about, to unlock and unleash your inner superpower. Sometimes it's not that easy. We don't use old maps to get to new destinations. So without further ado, here are 7 super tips from Ellen.
Yeah, I'd never lost anybody. I mean, my grandfather died when I was a little girl, but I didn't really know him. I wasn't close, so I didn't really, and I didn't go to the funeral. But my girlfriend had been killed in a car accident, and we were living together at the time. My brother's band was performing, and we had broken up. We had fought a lot. She was trying to get me to come back home. I acted like I couldn't hear her because the music was too loud. I was planning on moving back in. I just was trying to teach her a lesson, and I was staying with some friends. So I just acted like I couldn't hear, and I was being really dismissive of her. She had left before us, and as we were driving home, we saw a car, and it was split in two, and we heard sirens behind us, so it had just happened. Nobody was there yet, and we just kept going. And I found out the next morning that it was her in the car. And so that, of course, made me feel like I should have gone home with her that night. She wouldn't have been with that person. I should have stopped. Maybe she would have, all kinds of things. But a lot of guilt. I think it made me realize how fragile and how easily you can lose somebody. I mean, just literally in an instant, she just was gone. And it was really hard, but it really did. It shifted my entire focus and my life. I lived in this tiny basement apartment where you couldn't even stand up fully. It was the ceilings were so low, it was like you couldn't stand up. And I had a mattress on the floor, and the basement was infested with fleas. There were just fleas everywhere. And I remember thinking, it just seems so ridiculous that this young 23-year-old girl who, I was just living with was gone, and fleas are here. And so I just thought it would be great to just pick up the phone and call up God and talk about this. And so I just picked up a pen, and there were no scratch out, start over. It just was written. The whole thing came out, the whole conversation, the whole phone call. And when I finished writing, I just thought, Johnny Carson would love that. I know he would appreciate that, and I'm going to do that on the show. When I finished school, I was completely lost, and by school I mean middle school, but I went ahead and finished high school anyway. And I had no ambition. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I did everything from I shucked oysters, I was a hostess, I was a bartender, I was a waitress, I painted houses, I sold vacuum cleaners. I had no idea. And I thought I'd just finally settle on some job, and I would make enough money to pay my rent, maybe have basic cable, maybe not. I didn't really have a plan. My point is that by the time I was your age, I really thought I knew who I was, but I had no idea. Like, for example, when I was your age, I was dating men. And I finally decided that I was living with so much shame and so much fear that I just couldn't live that way anymore. And I decided to come out and make it creative, and my character would come out at the same time. And it wasn't to make a political statement. It wasn't to do anything other than to free myself up from this heaviness that I was carrying around. And I just wanted to be honest. And I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I can lose my career. I did. I lost my career. The show was canceled after 6 years without even telling me. I read it in the paper. The phone didn't ring for 3 years. I had no offers. Nobody wanted to touch me at all. And yet I was getting letters from kids that almost committed suicide but didn't because of what I did. And I realized that I had a purpose, and it wasn't just about me, and it wasn't about celebrity, but I felt like I was being punished, and it was a bad time. I was angry, I was sad, and then I was offered a talk show. And the people that offered me the talk show tried to sell it, and most stations didn't want to pick it up. Most people didn't want to buy it because they thought nobody would watch me. And really, when I look back on it, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, it was so important for me to lose everything because I found out what the most important thing is to be true to yourself. And ultimately, that's what's gotten me to this place. I don't live in fear. I'm free. I have no secrets. And I know I'll always be okay because no matter what, I know who I am. So, in conclusion, when I was younger, I thought success was something different. I thought, when I grow up, I want to be famous. I want to be a star. I want to be in movies. When I grow up, I want to see the world, drive nice cars. I want to have groupies, to quote the Pussycat Dolls. How many people thought it was boobies, by the way? It's not. It's groupies. But my idea of success is different today. And as you grow, you'll realize definition of success changes. For many of you, today, success is being able to hold down 20 shots of tequila. For me, the most important thing in your life is to live your life with integrity and not to give in to peer pressure to try to be something that you're not. To live your life as an honest and compassionate person, to contribute in some way. So to conclude my conclusion, follow your passion, stay true to yourself, never follow someone else's path unless you're in the woods and you're lost and you see a path, then by all means you should follow that. Don't give advice. It'll come back and bite you when they ask. Don't take anyone's advice. So my advice to you is to be true to yourself and everything will be fine. And I know that a lot of you are concerned about your future, but there's no need to worry. The economy is booming. The job market is wide open. The planet is just fine. It's going to be great. You've already survived a hurricane. What else can happen to you? And as I mentioned before, some of the most devastating things that happen to you will teach you the most. And now you know the right questions to ask for your first job interview, like, is it above sea level? So to conclude my conclusion that I previously concluded in the common cement speech, I guess what I'm trying to say is life is like one big Mardi Gras. But instead of showing your boobs, show people your brain. And if they like what they see, you'll have more beads than you know what to do with. This is crazy. I mean, so deserved, but this is crazy. I mean, I can't tell you how much this means to me. I started my show and I just set out really just to make people happy and make people laugh and to get very, very rich. And I certainly didn't set out to win any of the many awards I have received over the past years. But I have to say, it's a little strange to actually get an award for being nice and generous and kind, which is what we're all supposed to do with one another. That's the point of being a human. I mean, would I call myself the Mother Teresa of talk shows, the Dalai Lama of daytime? No, but I'm sure someone out there has. I don't think you have to have a talk show to be nice to people, to do what I'm doing. I just think that kindness is something that we should all have. That's an innate quality that we have, and we need more of that out there. I read an amazing quote recently. What if there was no such thing as love, just proof of love? I don't know if it was from the Bible or an Instagram, but it was really powerful to me. So my wish is for, and we have a lot of people watching in a lot of different countries, and I want everyone to know that we all really love one another. Deep down, we all love one another, and we need to get back to that. My wish is that we all try. We need more of that right now in the world. So that is what most of us feel. I think what saved me is me being honest. And I think I somehow had the courage to do something and say something that I knew would possibly end my career. And instead of making business more important, I made my soul and my life more important. And I think by being truthful and by being honest, that saved me. And then I was given the opportunity to do something where I could actually just be myself and people could see who I am. And if they respond to it, great, and if they don't, great. And they've responded. She said when we got married, one of the things she said to me in her vows was, you know, it's one thing to be loved, but it's profound to be understood. And that's what that's all you want from people. You know, I can't expect everybody to you know, love me and like everything I do, but I just want people to understand me and to get me and know what my intentions are. And my intentions are to make people happy. And my intentions are to never hurt anybody. And my intentions are to have compassion and to hope I can spread that a little bit every single day. Well, I never did. Even before you know, me being made fun of, I just never thought. I always think of when I tell a joke, when I'm talking about something, I think about someone in the audience or someone at home watching and experiencing that thing if it would be mean-spirited or directed at someone. I don't ever want anyone to get hurt by what I'm saying, because I think people should anyway laugh to feel better and to forget about stuff that's going on in the world, and not to laugh at someone else's expense or it's just mean-spirited. It's just mean to, and I don't think people realize it because they're so used to hearing a joke being mean-spirited or at someone else's expense that they don't. But I had a chance to stop and look at it because I was the joke. But I think when I say be kind to one another, I think I just want people to, maybe it'll seep in, and because I think people are rude sometimes, and I think people are unkind, and I think people don't pay attention to someone else's feelings. And I think there's a lot of kids out there that are bullied. There's, you know, in all kinds of ways. And I think that needs to stop. And I think adults need to know that they're doing the same thing. It's not just kids. There are adults that are out there bullying, and they need to be kind. The one thing that I keep learning over and over again is that I don't know nothing. I mean, that's my life lesson, is that as soon as I think I know something, I realize that I got so much more to learn. It's hard to hold on to everything that I've learned that I think is important. But I think the most important thing is compassion. And I've learned that obviously from some tough times, and because it gives you compassion. It gives you understand what it feels like to be on the end of hurt.
Thank you for joining us for today's Super You, where we unlock and unleash your inner superpower. Ellen gave us 7 great tips, which I hope will help you starting today. I'm your host, Equalman. Please subscribe below so you receive the next show. And until next time, remember, it's not what we take from the world, it's what we leave behind. 7 super tips. Welcome to today's 7 super tips. Welcome to today's Super You episode. Welcome to the Super You Show. I'm your host, Erik Qualman. A lot of you know me as Equalman. Today's guest is amazing, Ellen DeGeneres, and I screwed that up. I'm trying not to yell as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think.
But I need energy.
You're doing well.
Thank you for joining us. Well, that just sounds like I'm yelling. Here we go. Okay, here we go.